Hello internet, and today's video is going to be another book opinion. Those videos in which I tell you my opinion on a book, and today's book is going to be The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. This was a very interesting book because it just had such an interesting world that it was taking place in. So this book follows a group of characters, best friends. They've been really close friends for a while. But the most interesting part is they live in a world where there are people that they like to refer to as indie kids. Indie kids are the chosen ones, the heroes that we always read about in stories. You go on an adventurous, magical quest, who fight aliens and vampires, die or be transformed into werewolves. And these indie kids live this life in this world where they're the chosen one, and they have indie kid names, and you could be the demigod or something. But while living in this world, it's important to realize that while all those amazing, wonderful, fantastical things are going on around, sometimes the most hard-hitting and hurtful and painful things you're going to have to experience is just living life and getting along with other people. So we follow a little group of characters, and we follow from the perspective of one kid while he talks about trying to put together his life, him and his friends, and talking about his friends and talking about the issues he has. And he has an extreme form of OCD that is reoccurring, and he's struggling with that at the moment while also trying to figure out where he fits in, especially when it comes to the people that he loves. His home life isn't the greatest, and it hasn't been for a really long time. He feels like a figurehead in his own house, a prop, a doll that's used to promote a political campaign of his mother's. His friends are people that he loves, but sometimes he feels like he's the weakest, most boring one, and he's very self-conscious that his friends don't really like him. They just kind of keep him around. And he has to struggle with jealousy and new people. And all the while, amazing, fantastical things are going in the background. So I think my favorite part about this book was that every chapter was introduced with a chapter head that was explaining what the indie kids were doing in the background, whatever new indie kid quest was going on. And this wonderful, mystical, fantastical element, all of this is happening in the background. That's not the important story. The important story is these characters, how they affect each other, how they can hurt each other really badly without ever intending, how you can take too much from the people around you without ever really realizing that they are people too, and how hurtful it can be to them. Just these effects that you as a person can have on other people without fully intending that you're having it, or fully knowing that you are having these effects. The jealousy that you feel when your friend becomes friends with someone else, and the consciousness and self-consciousness that you feel when you don't think you're good enough for your friends, and you're wondering why anyone would hang out with you. And all of these emotions going on through all of these characters that we see, and especially our main character. And it's just something that most people can emulate with. We've all felt conscious of whether or not our friend group likes us, or whether or not we are liked at all, or that we're good enough. We all have one issue that just comes back and haunts us, and that has changed us, and maybe not for the better, but something that we have to overcome in the end. And I think the most important message about this book in the end was that sort of suffering and that self-suffering that sometimes we cause, and sometimes we cause others with all this emotion, and how we unintentionally hurt others, that's a lot more frightening than fighting aliens and monsters and fighting against vampires and blowing up high schools. It's a lot harder to deal with those emotions and how you affect other people and how they affect you, and understanding them and acknowledging them, than it is to go fight some boss and win a boss battle at the end of the day. So maybe the indie kids have more freedom, and maybe it's the rest of us that are truly suffering, because we have a lot of time to try to figure this out, and it's a really difficult thing. So I think The Rest of Us Just Lives Here is just a really powerful story because it takes place in a world where it's telling you that you're not the special one, that you're not the chosen one, that there's nothing on you, no pressures, right? But it turns out life always gives you a way to have pressures. There's always a way. And you don't need to fight a monster to have some problems. Right? And some problems are more hurtful and bigger than fighting monsters. Maybe it would have been easier if all we had to do was fight demons and monsters all day long. But that's not the world we live in, so we just have to learn how to deal with the harsh realities of hurting your friends on accident and your friends hurting you and just being self-conscious all the time. Like, that's just the reality of the world. So if you like what you're seeing here and you want to continue seeing more, click all those bunnies down below, and goodbye, internet.